Trains are some of the oldest means of transportation that are still operating to this very day. They got their first passengers in the 1800s, which makes them close to 2 centuries in business. While most people nowadays use planes, buses, their own cars to travel, bicycles, and, well, their own feet, trains are still quite popular, and sometimes they even go through places that no other vehicle would go through. In fact, sometimes the railway tracks are positioned across places where you never thought you could visit. Today we're going to be looking at 10 of the most dangerous railway tracks in the world. Everything on this list will make you wonder why someone would build a railway track in such places. Perhaps some of these will call to the adventurous spirit in you to go and venture on your own train ride across a very challenging terrain. Or maybe some will inspire you to, stay home, it's safer. Make sure you have a look at number 1 though. It's a place where you could have never imagined you could go, not even inside of a train. With all that said and done, let's begin, shall we? Number 10. Chennai Ramaswaram, India. If you've ever been to India or have at least considered visiting, you are probably aware of how popular trains are in this country. In fact, they actually have some of the longest train journeys in the world. One of them lasts 85 hours and brings you across the country for more than 4,000 kilometers. On the other hand, they also have some of the most dangerous train rides in the world, but that only adds to the excitement of the experience. And that's the case of the train that travels between the cities of Chennai and Ramaswaram. This train goes above the water on a 2.3 kilometer long bridge. It's high enough for ships and ferries to pass underneath, but sometimes the water levels get too high and that the railways get flooded. On top of that, strong winds and intense weather conditions threaten what could easily have been a peaceful ride across the ocean. For that reason, these trains slow down to a speed of 4 meters per second, avoiding any possible incidents. Number 9. Train to the Clouds, Argentina and Chile. Next on our list is a railway that took 27 years to be built. It is the absolutely famous and the most mispronounced name for me currently, Tren a las Nubes, which runs from the city of Salta in Argentina all the way to Polvoril in Chile, traveling for 217 kilometers. This train has existed since 1948, and its name, which in English means Train to the Clouds, derives from the fact that it travels through 29 bridges and 21 tunnels while staying at more than 4,000 meters above sea levels. It definitely feels like you're in the clouds the whole time. Not the best train ride for those who are afraid of heights. Number 8. Nose of the Devil, Ecuador. Would you go on a ride if they tell you you're going to the Nose of the Devil? It seems like it's quite a famous journey for adventurers in South America. This train that takes you on such a ride is the Transandean Railroad as it passes through a mountainous area of Ecuador, near the Alasi village. These mountains keep the train from having a smooth ride, and for that reason, the Ecuadorian government made a railway track in the shape of a zigzag going up to 500 meters while traveling for about 12 kilometers. Okay, that might be a little confusing, but what I'm trying to tell you here is that the train goes up just a short distance, but it actually feels a lot longer because of all the zigzag turns. The train pretty much starts moving vertically and it feels like you're going to fall out of it. If that doesn't sound dangerous enough, some brave passengers even opt for riding on the roof of the train to get the most out of the train ticket. Number 7. Cape Town's crimes and public transportation, South Africa. Alright, not all the dangers on this list have to do with geography. In the case of Cape Town, South Africa, the railway turns dangerous due to the actions of other human beings. For the past couple of years, there have been a high crime rate on public transportation. 1 out of 10 train routes get cancelled on a daily basis due to thefts and assaults. The local authorities have tried to stop the chaos by increasing the penalties for those who commit such evil actions. However, such a punishment obviously isn't enough. For that reason, there is now a railway police that seeks to decrease crime-related incidents in the future. Number 6. Georgetown Loop, USA. Of all the states in the US, there's one that is very connected to nature. That's the state of Colorado. Some of the best landscapes and unspoiled pieces of land are in this area. Also, this state is home to a very old and quite dangerous railway, the Georgetown Loop. This railway was built back in the 1800s and it goes through the Rocky Mountains. It was the only way to transport silver to and from the mines within this region. The mines were so hard to access and this narrow railway had to be built through a lot of dangerous bridges just to get to them. One of these bridges, which is called the Devil's Gate High Bridge, is suspended about 30 meters above the ground. Despite the danger of it, the railway ran without any major issues all the way until 2004. After that, everything went downhill, with a major incident in 2006 when one of their locomotives got damaged. Today, this railroad is more of a historical treasure rather than a useful way of transporting goods across the mines. Number 5. Mexico's freight trains. Mexico is a beautiful and vast country. With so many places to explore, it only makes sense to look for the most affordable and efficient ways of transportation. There are planes, buses, and of course, there are trains that can take you to your destinations. The same goes for cargo, though. While passenger trains are decent, cargo trains are not as lucky. Crime in Mexico's railways have been bad for a while, and it has just gotten worse in the last couple of years. The most common crime is freight robbery, which happened more than 700 times in a lapse of 3 months in 2017. Veracruz, one of Mexico's main cities, has been the most affected by this issue. There was even a case in which the criminals pulled apart a section of the track and halted the train. Ferromex, which is the largest rail operator in the country, has asked the authorities to suspend operations and solve these problems once and for all, and I don't really know how well that's gonna go, but let's hope it all changes soon enough. Number 4. Death Railway, Thailand. Next on this list, I have a train that was built during World War II. This railway was made to connect the cities of Bangkok and Rangoon, and it's one of the scariest routes in history. In fact, this place was deadly from the moment its construction started. A lot of war prisoners and local people were put to work on it, and they died during the process. This train would ride over fragile suspended tracks with no protection from the ground underneath. As of today, there's still one section of the original line that operates for tourist purposes only. Number 3. Kuranda Scenic Railway, Australia. Queensland, Australia is home to a breathtaking forest landscape. You can find it all within the Barron Gorge National Park. This park is also famous for its railways, which you can ride to travel between Cairns and Kuranda, 2 of the main cities in Queensland. This scenic ride has existed since the 19th century, and you could not expect a smooth journey considering all the things that you'll find within this landscape. Although the views are out of this world, you gotta keep in mind that this train travels for 37 kilometers, passing through 15 tunnels and a lot of sharp turns. There are also 40 bridges along the way, and you'll pass a lot of cliffs and even waterfalls that will make the train go slow. There have been some accidents in the past, such as a landslide back in 2010 that came unexpectedly after heavy rains poured down over the area. Now it's time for the day's best pick. The picture I have today is one of a train getting hit by strong ocean waves. As you've seen in our previous picks, many of the railways on this list are dangerous due to some natural threats, such as waterfalls, landslides, and cliffs. Now it's time to have a look at a train that has been hit by waves many times. It is the South Devon Railway in the United Kingdom, situated on the southern coast of England. A section of its route is called the Seawall, and it's been damaged multiple times due to rough weather conditions. There have been many times when the train tracks at Dawlish Station got hit by waves and the system had to undergo repairs. Although it does all sound quite scary, this railway is not necessarily dangerous. The only major incidents reported is one of a child who was close to falling off of a carriage back in 2017. The floor in the bathroom was missing after some of the many repairs that the train went through. However, the child survived the incident, but the South Devon Railway was prosecuted for failing to ensure the safety of their passengers. After so many repairs, it makes sense that some things got forgotten from time to time. But now to look at the last 2 picks of the list. 2 dangerous railways that require some courage and preparation prior to riding on them. Number 2. Minami Aso Route, Japan. You probably wouldn't expect a dangerous railway to exist in a country so sophisticated, modern, and technologically savvy as Japan. But sometimes even the most advanced countries can't fight with the forces of nature, and they just gotta learn to coexist together. This is the case of the train that goes around Mount Aso, which is one of the most active volcanoes in the land of the rising sun. The eruptions of this volcano are quite unpredictable, and that's what makes the journey a very dangerous one indeed. Also, part of the track passes through a high and fragile bridge that was severely damaged in the midst of the Kumamoto earthquakes back in 2016. All these factors have threatened the lives of passengers, which explains why the numbers have decreased over the last couple of years. In fact, some sections of the railway are still closed. I guess that's what you get when you have a train running so close to an active volcano, but I don't think it would be any easier if it was cars or other vehicles driving through this spot.
I saved the best for last, but first, I have a quick challenge that takes only 5 seconds to complete. If you can leave a like and subscribe within the next 5 seconds, you'll get 10 years of amazing luck. Just try it, it really works.
Number 1. Indian Railways. And we're back to India. Just like Mexico, India is another country that is worth visiting by train. Nothing tops the experience of interacting with locals and experiencing the scenery in one unique journey. But unfortunately, if you watch the news, you're well aware that Indian railways are some of the most infamous ways of transportation in the world. For a long time, they've made it to the headlines for the safety threats that passengers face. Not really getting into some, but it's mainly, fatal stuff, so that's always fun. It's pretty common. Since 2007, there was an average of 9 deaths per day. From 2011 to 2015, crime had an increase of 52%. Luckily, the authorities have finally taken matters into their hands and have adopted new safety regulations to ensure smooth journeys to your final destination. They've started incorporating technology to monitor the safety of every passenger, and now it seems like the future of trains in India is actually quite promising. What's the craziest train you've been on? Would you ride any of these trains? Which one sounds like the scariest to you? Let us know in the comment section below, everybody, and I will see you all next time. Later, everybody.